Hi and welcome to another episode of Peacemake TV. In this video I'm going to take a look at the new Elementor Pro plugin. Now we've covered Elementor, the free version, in quite a lot of detail in their own videos, and I recommend checking those out because they're going to cover all the basic features which are included as part of Elementor Pro. But in this video we're going to take a look at the Pro specific features. So let's crack open WordPress and take a look at what's on offer. So to start off with, if you're unfamiliar with what Elementor is, it's basically a visual editor for WordPress which allows you to very quickly and easily build up complex page layouts without needing to touch any code. You can dig in a little deeper and start custom coding the CSS to style things, and there's various other options that are available to you to really fine-tune and tweak. But at its basic level, it just allows you to create great looking pages without the need to understand the underlying codes and short codes that WordPress uses. So in this video, we're going to look at the new Pro specific features. We're going to take a look in depth at what each one of them is, and we'll take a look at what's coming up in the future. So let's open up Elementor and let's take a look at what's available. So throughout this video where I'm demonstrating Elementor Pro's widgets, we're going to be using the free version of GeneratePress as the theme. The reason I'm using that, A, it's free, and B, it's a very blank template that allows us to use Elementor to actually create the page layout without having to worry about customizing and editing too much when it comes down to the theme itself. So as you can see, I'm already in a pages section, and we've got the option to switch on Elementor now to start working with the page. If we want to switch back to the normal WordPress editor, we can do that by clicking on this button, but we're going to come in and we're going to invoke Elementor. So let's click on that. That will then open up in full screen, and what we can do is we can now go through and we can set up exactly how we want the different pages to be laid out. If we look on the left hand side, we've got two sections. We've got Elements and we've got Global. Under Elements are all the widgets that we can use to build up our website and our pages step by step. So you can see there's quite a lot available to us. If we scroll down, you'll see we've got the Pro elements, which are currently 7 different elements that we can call up, and we'll take a look at those in more detail in a moment. Underneath that, we've got the general elements, and finally, if we keep on scrolling down, we've got the WordPress widgets. So we can quickly and easily build up quite complex page layouts without having to delve into messing about with code or short codes that work with WordPress. So I've already covered a lot of the different widgets that are available to us throughout the free version of Elementor, and I'll link the videos in the description below so you can go and check those out. We're going to concentrate on these Pro elements. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on how we actually use Elementor itself. I've covered that already. We're going to concentrate more on just these different widgets, these Pro ones. So all I need to do to start working with any of these is drag them onto the screen and drop them in this empty section. So I can drag over the posts. You can see I can now drop that. Once I do that, that will fill out some basic information if it's relevant, and we can start customizing the actual content of that widget. So you can see if we look on the left hand side, we've now got 3 blocks. We've got content, style, and advanced. We've also then got different sections. You can see we've got layout, we've got metadata, query at the bottom. Jump over to style, you can see we've got layout, image, and content. And if we go to advanced, you can see we've got element style, background border, and so on. So you've got a lot of control over that. Now we're not limited to just controlling this particular widget. We can also control the container that is inside. So if we take a look on the main section, you can see where we've got this block that's saying add a new section or add a template. That's a placeholder we can drop this information in. And that's what we've done with this first section. And if we mouse over, you can see in the top left hand corner, we've now got column and we've got section. And we mouse over the actual content itself, you can see in the top right hand corner we have a series of icons that allow us to do various different things. So we can edit the content, we can clone the content, we can go in and save it as a template. So if you want to call this back up without having to recreate this every single time, we can do that. Or finally, we can delete it. If we come to the top left hand corner, we can click. If we click on column, you see that now changes the context of the left column, where we can now edit the column information and the style of that. Or if we come back over again and choose section, you can see the content now in the left hand side changes again. So we've got a fine level of control over all of the different elements that make up each section of every single page we work with. So let's leave those different sections alone. Let's come in and actually control the widget itself. So come to the right hand side, click to edit that, and that brings us back to the box on the left hand side that allows us to edit the post information, and we can go through and fine tune how everything is laid out and how it looks. So let's do that now. Now, there are a couple of things that really set Elementor apart from its peers. The first and probably the most important for me is the speed at which it operates. So let's take a look at this particular posts widget, and let's have a look how quick it is to make changes. If you come over to the left hand side, you can see we've got columns. At the moment it's set to 3, so it shows us 3 equal columns of information. We can click, change that to 2 or 1 or 4 or 6. We can customize that. We can customize the post count. We can also go in and tell it how it works on various different devices. So you can see anywhere we have this little symbol that shows a screen, if we click on that, that'll invoke both the standard desktop, tablet and mobile versions. So once we do that, you can see we can select any of those icons and we can adjust the parameters specific to that icon, that particular device. So for example, we may say that on tablets we wanted to keep it to be 3 columns, but on a mobile device, which obviously is going to be much smaller, we can say we want it to be kept to 2. We can also cut down the post count on that, and anything else that we've got underneath that actually has those 3 icons allows us to change it based upon the device it's going to be viewed on. So it's very quick and easy to create mobile responsive sites that change, and you control how they change. You don't let the software itself dictate automatically. You can control that on a granular level. So let's just switch that back over to be the desktop version. We'll change that down. We'll just set that to be 3, so we limit the content. Now we can see if we look at the images, they look a little degraded. So what we can do is we can come down to where it says image size, and we can choose any of the pre-defined sizes that WordPress sets out, or any other software that we're using on our system to create thumbnails and different size images, and tell it exactly what versions we want. So I could say that I want to use the medium-large version. And once we do that, the definition of the image becomes better quality. Obviously, the detrimental part of that is the fact that the file size is going to be bigger. But as I said earlier on, you can control various different elements based upon the device that you're going to be viewing this on. We can also adjust the image ratio. And you can see everything is now done in real time. As we adjust the slider, the images zoom in, zoom out, and the size of the image itself changes. So it's very quick and easy, very intuitive, allows us to quickly control exactly how we want this layout to look, and we can see it update in real time. So we can get that exactly where we want. So I might say I want to go more kind of this scale. We can then control the image width if we want to. You can see we can shrink those down, make them larger up to the point where 100% is the maximum. Now we've got control over exactly what happens to the information below. So you can see by default it's put the title in, the date that it was posted, any comments, and a brief piece of information and a read more option. Well, we can control exactly what we see on that. We can control whether the title is shown or not. We can just use this little toggle switch to switch it on off. We can control the HTML tag that's going to be used, which is great, again, for SEO. We can say that we want all of these to be H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whichever we want. We can use divs, spans, or paragraph tags. And if we wanted to, we could then go and target those and control those through our own custom CSS. But for now, we'll leave it as it is. HTML3 is fine. Do we want the excerpt? We have the option yes or no, so we can turn that on and off. We can specify exactly how long the excerpt length is going to be. Next up, we've got the meta information. You can see we've got the date and we've got the comments, and you can see the metadata is included in this little box. We can turn any of those off, so we can just click say I don't want comments. It's intelligent enough to know that if we say we don't want a second or third item in there, then it doesn't include the separator. We can click and we can add in any information we want in there. So we can say, well, let's have the author. And you can see that that automatically puts that information in there. We can reorder those if we want to by just deleting the ones we don't want and adding the next one in. So we can say we put the time in there, for example, and we'll come in and we'll say we'll have the date. So we've got control over that. We can change the separator. We can simply put whatever we want in there. It'll update in real time. Again, we've got read more, so we can turn that on and off. So we can control exactly whether this is just a sort of click the picture you want to sort of do that, or click the title, or we want to have a read more on there. We've got that option. We can change what it says. It doesn't have to say read more. It can just say more. whatever we want to put in there. And as I say, everything is updated in real time. If we come down now, we've got query at the bottom, which allows us to choose the source for our posts that's going to be included in this. So you can see we have posts, pages, or a manual selection. We can also come down then and fine tune it. So we can say we want to limit this to certain categories. We want to limit it to tags if we've used tags in our posts or pages. The format that's going to be used. We can link it to specific authors. We can then control exactly how this information is displayed. So we can say we want it to be ordered by date. We could say let's order it by title. So now it'll go in alphabetical order. We could say descending or ascending. We can even choose an offset to say that, let's just say, for example, we don't want to include the latest post. Well, we could do anything we want in there after the latest post, so we could just set an offset in there. So all you need to do is just insert a number. So you can say 1, that'll skip the latest post. So very quick and easy. We can now come up and choose style, and you can see we can come in and we can control this as well. So we've got the ability to control the column gaps. So if we don't want any gaps at all, we can take those out. Very easy. Control exactly what size we want in there. The row gap as well. So if we had multiple rows, you can see at the moment it's only pushing this down, but let's just jump back. Let's set this to be 2. Come back in there and let's just control the row gap. So if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see that this one now moves up and down based upon the gap that I want to place in there. We can control the alignment. We can come down, we can choose the image. We can put border radiuses on there. The content, you can see we can now come in and fine tune the content. So let's just say, for example, we don't like this yellow color. Well, we can change that. We can easily come down and we can say, well, let's change any of the colors we want on here. Let's just say that for the title, we want this to be green in this example. There we go, it's now green. Do we want to let it use the default typography, or do we want to control it ourselves? Well, we can do both. If we leave typography set to off, it will use the default fonts that are part of your theme. If you want to control those, you can just simply click on, and now we can easily come in and we can control what font family they're coming from. So let's just say we wanted Railway for this example, and let's just say we wanted to have that to be a 400 weight font, and that's okay. We'll just say let's have italic on there, and now we can control the line height if we want to as well. So let's just say we want to have more space in between that, and let's just say we want to go slightly bigger. We want to have bigger titles, and we want to adjust the line height accordingly, and the letter spacing. So you want to tighten that up a little bit if we want. Title spacing, so we can adjust the space below just the title, not just the line height. Everything gives us a real fine level of control, and that's just for the one section. We can easily come in, just put the content back up, and we can say now we want to control the meta. So at the moment that's a pale grey. Let's just say we want that darker. Well, there we go. That now makes it darker. Do we want to change the separator color? Well, we can do that as well. We can have a different separator color. We can set that to be blue. So you can see we can very easily control exactly how that looks. And finally, if we come to the advanced section, we can now control even more information on there. We can control the margin, the paddings. We can even animate these items on. We can apply backgrounds and borders. We can control what happens on a responsive level. So we may say that we want this particular element to display on desktop and tablets, but on a mobile, we don't. We could use reverse logic if we want to. We could set this to not display on a mobile, and then we could create another column, another section that we style up the way we want, and then we set that to display on mobile and not on desktop or tablet. So it'll then detect what device is being viewed on and show whichever of those different widgets we want. So you can really get in and control this on a really fine level. Once we're done with that, we can simply hit save, and that will then save this information. And as you can see, very quick and easy, doesn't leave Elementor at all. We can check it out to see what it looks like on the different devices. So we can click on this little responsive mode. You can see desktop is what we're currently looking at. We can switch to tablet. It'll show us what it looks like on a tablet, and finally on a mobile. You can see we can interact with it like we would with a normal mobile phone. Once we're done with that, we can switch back to desktop and we're good to go. So that's the posts widget. Let's move on now to the next one. So the next pro level widget we have is the portfolio widget. And if we click to drag that in, you can see that that pulls in some information automatically again for us. And you can see in this example, we've now got 3 different images with a rollover effect. Now what this is doing is it's pulling this information from, by default, the post section and using the featured image from that. Now, as with the post section above, which has taken a look at, you can control almost every aspect of this. So let's take a look at those options now. You can see at the moment we've got the layout, and in a similar fashion, we've got the option to create the columns. We can switch between that between using a sort of generalized mode where the theme dictates exactly what's going to be displayed on there, or we can go in and fine-tune that based upon your desktop, tablet, and mobile device. We can choose the post count. We can choose the image size like we did previously, so I can choose the different sizes of those. So we've got that option available, and again, we've got the same thing with item ratio. We can choose the title, whether we want to display that or not. So you can see we can choose on or off. So if we choose to turn that off, we get the rollover effect, but nothing else shows up. Again, we've got the HTML tag we want to use for this specific item. And if we just jump over onto the query section, you can see we now choose the source. So by default, we've got posts in there. We can use pages, or we can use manual selection. You can see we can go through and search and select those, choose pages, and just jump back to post and use that. And we can filter this down based upon the category, the tag, or the format that's being used. And again, we can sort those and offset them in the same way we could with the previous widget. We can also choose to have a filter bar on there. And what this allows us to do is to choose how we want to filter the picture. So if we've got a large portfolio, we can use a filter to allow the user to click and see different images as part of that portfolio. So if you can see, we've got categories, tags, or format. So what we could do is we could say, well, we could tag these with different names, and let's take a look at that. So if I come down and choose tags, I've already applied a few tags to this. You can see we've got holidays, New Zealand, Australia. I can now filter these particular portfolio items based upon my selection. So you can see if I click on New Zealand or holidays or Australia, it automatically filters those out to show just the ones that have those tags applied to it. So very quick and easy, and a great way of being able to create eye-catching, good-looking portfolios very quickly and easily. Again, we've got the option to come through and style all this, so we can adjust the gaps on there. We can remove gaps completely if we want to. We can put border radiuses. We can control the item overlay, so we can say, well, what color do we want to appear when we go over these? Let's just change that. And let's just say, let's go for a green color, for example. And once we've done that, we can also come in and choose the typography if we want to. And again, we can come in and control exactly how that displays. We can choose the color. We can control the filter bar, how that's displayed, the font that's being used, and so on. So you can see very quick, and everything is updated in real time. So every time you make a change, you can come back onto your page, check it out, see if it works with the theme you're working with, whether it looks good to you. Again, we've got advanced, and you can see we've got a whole range of options in there for margins and padding, animations, responsive elements, backgrounds, and borders, and so on. Now, these are pretty consistent throughout all of the widgets that we have with Elementor. But like I say, it gives you that huge level of granular control over every aspect of your page. So what I'm going to do is come down and click on Save. That's going to update the changes I've made. If I want to check that on my mobile device and tablets, I can do that quickly to see what it looks like, see if I like the way it's looking, how it all animates, make sure it looks okay. Same on mobile devices. So you can see we can quickly come in and adjust these and see exactly how they look. So really quick and easy, a great way of testing everything out. So that's the portfolio widget. Now let's move on to the next one. Now, forms are one of those things that when it comes to building a website, pretty much every website you're ever going to develop or work with is going to have at least one form on it. And if you've ever used forms, you know it can be quite a time-consuming and laborious process to go through and create forms. Well, the live form builder that now makes up part of Elementor Pro makes that whole process a breeze. So let's just choose the form option. And as you can see, it embeds a basic form in there for us. You can see we've now got name, email, and message. We've got the form name, which we can give it whatever we want. We can add items in there. We can control the input size, labels, and so on. So let's take a look at customizing this and see how easy it is to create good-looking forms with no real effort at all. So let's start off by opening up some of the different sections we have, the different elements. So if we click, you can see we can choose the type. We can choose the label, we can input anything in there, the placeholder, which is going to sit inside the form element, whether it's a required element or not, and the column width. And again, we can control that based upon the device it's being viewed upon. So let's just say, for example, I don't want name and email to be on separate lines. I want them to be on the same line to make our form just look a little bit neater and smaller. Then I can easily come down to say column width and a name, set that to be 50%, and you'll see that now shrinks that down to 50%, but the email still sits underneath. So if we expand the email section out, set that to 50%, it automatically drops it up to the next line. So again, we don't have to worry too much about doing this. It's automatically being done for us with some simple logic as part of the form. So you can easily come in, we can copy these different elements and we can adjust them, add new ones in there. We can control the input size. You can see we can easily adjust the size of those, however we sort of want to work with our particular layout. We can come down, we can show our labels or hide the labels. We can control the submit button. So you can see at the moment that's being set to be justified. We can say, well, we want that to go over to the right hand side. We want it to be small, medium, large, extra large, however we want. We can change the text. So let's just say we want to put that to be submit. There we go, that updates in real time. We may want to put an icon in there. So let's just say we'll put something like an address card in there. That'll do. Now we can say, do we want that before or after? And we can now adjust the spacing for that just simply by using this slider box. Very quick and easy, and you can see exactly what this looks like as we're making those changes on the screen in front of us. We can come to the email options and you can see that we can come in and we can put whatever email address we want to in there for the to. We can easily put in any kind of message, who it comes from, the name, the reply to, the meta information that will be sent through as part of the email itself. We can specify whether we want to submit this email as HTML or whether we want to sort of leave it as plain text. We can redirect to after the email has been sent, so we can set that up if we want to. We can use webhooks, so we can integrate this with other external services like Zapier. We can create custom messages, so once the email has been sent, what we want it to do, well, we can put a custom message in there for success, the error, required field messages and invalid messages, so we can control all of that. So we've got a lot of control there. We can come out to the style and you can see we can now adjust various different aspects of the layout. So we can say, well, let's adjust the spacing for the label. We can adjust the row gaps if we wanted to separate things out in there, the column gaps, so we can make sure we've got nice plain space in between everything we're doing. We can control the text color, so let's just say we want to go for a darker color on there. Very quick and easy. We can choose the text size if we want to by controlling the typography. We can choose fonts and so on, so we can go through, we can control everything we want about that. We can come in there and we can control the fields as well. So we want to apply a color to the text inside the fields. We can do that. So you can see we can choose a green color if we want to in there. We can set a background color. So let's just say, let's set those to be a different color gray. Change the color of the text back to be a dark, almost black. And you've got a whole amount of control over it. You can change, you can get rid of the borders if you want to. You can say, well, we don't want any borders on there. That'll get rid of those. Any border radius, we can change that. We can style the button very quickly and easily. So we can say, well, I don't want that to be that sort of tealy kind of color. Let's change that. So we could easily do that. We can change the text color, the background color. So let's just say we want that to be a darker green. And we'll have the text color, white is fine. Again, we can control the typography of this. We can choose the border radius, the border type. So you can see we can easily create different border radiuses on there, colors, etc. And the text padding and everything else. And under advanced, you can see again we've got all the normal options we're used to when we're working with any of the Elementor widgets. So there's our form, very quick and easy. We can add new elements in there, we can style it, we can create as complex or as simple a form as we want to, very quickly and easily, dynamically, all inside Elementor Pro. Again, a really great way of working visually to speed up your development process. Now for now, we're going to leave the templates. We'll look at those at the end of this video. Next up, let's take a look at the price list. So let's do the same again. Let's just drag and drop that widget in and let's start taking a look at what we can do. You can see we have the option to create a list of prices and information now. And in the same way that we did with the form, we now have different list items. We can click and expand to see more information on those. And you can see it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on. You've got the price, you've got the title, you've got the description, the option for an image and a link if relevant. And you can see that's reflected on each of the list items. So if we want to add an image in there, we can simply click on this box, choose one from the images we got uploaded or upload a new image. You can see that automatically puts it in there, scales it the way it sort of sees fit to fit into that particular layout, which we can again control if we want to. If we want to change any of the text, we can easily do that. So let's just say I want to add a little bit more information in there to that list item. I can simply highlight this, paste my text in, and you can see that now fills the information out. And I can do that again and again if I want to. I can simply come to the next one, do the same again, so we can put our description in there, choose a different image, and do exactly the same then for the third one, so we've got a consistency across the board with all of these different list items. Let's just select a different image. There we go. So we now have a list item in there, and you can see we've got everything laid out. We've got the image in there, everything is styled up accordingly. Now obviously we may not like the way that's styled, so we can easily come in and change that. So if we jump over to the style section, you can see in much the same way as we did with the form element, we can now control each of the different pieces of this particular list. So you can see I've got title and price. If I don't like the colors being used there, I can choose something different. So we'll choose a darker color, and that'll do that for me. Again, I can jump on and I can just choose typography, and I can easily go in there, control that, and change the font to anything I want that isn't part of the theme layout. And the same again, we can come in and we can control the text sizes across the various different devices. So let's just turn that off for now. Description is fine. The separator, well, I don't like the look of that, so dotted is fine. Let's put the weight down to be 1. And let's just come in and choose a color that's going to be more in keeping with the rest of the design. So let's just choose a darker gray. Let's lighten that up a little bit so it's not quite so prevalent. And you can see I can quickly and easily just fine tune everything the way I want. I can adjust the spacing on this if I want to, so I can have a shorter line that gives us more gap. We can come in and choose the image style, and you can see I can now come in and choose different sizes. I can choose different spacing, so I can control the way that looks. I can come in at the item style if I want. I can adjust the row gap, so I can open those out. I can adjust the vertical alignment, so I can say I want that to be at the top or I want the center. So we've got different sort of smaller amounts of text. You can control exactly how that interacts with the image and how each one of those different elements is displayed. If we jump to the advanced, again, all the normal options available to us in there. So you can see I can quickly and easily build up the way I want this to look if I want to control different things. So let's just say, for example, I don't like the fact that this is sitting indented. Well, I can easily come in and I can just choose that with the margins or the padding. I can click disable or enable this, so I don't want it to be the same on each of those 4 different sides. I can say, right, on the left hand side, I want to set this to be something like -50. Minus would be good. -50, and you can see that now drops it back over, puts it in line with the other elements. So easy. I can control the animation if I want to and say, well, I want this to fade in, and you can see as the page loads and we scroll down to see that particular element, that will fade in. Obviously, if I don't want that to be the case, I can turn that off. I can even control the length of the animation. So that's how quick and easy it is to create lists inside Elementor Pro. Next up, we've got the countdown widget. So let's just drop that onto the page, and you can see that inserts a countdown timer. We can control exactly what date, what time we want this countdown timer to cancel out, to finish at. So you can see at the moment this is set to be the 2nd or the 4th at 2:22 in the afternoon, 2:42 in the afternoon. So this is now counting that down for us. We can choose how this is displayed. So you can see we can set it as a block, or we can set it as inline. So we can control that. We can say, well, we want to display days or we don't want to display them. We can easily adjust what we do and don't want to display. And as you can see, it automatically updates the layout to take into consideration the number of elements we're displaying. So we can switch that back on and off. We can turn the labels on and off, so we can just set that as we want. We can come up and we can choose the style, and you can see we can choose the container width, so we can shrink that down, make it bigger, smaller, however we want it to work. We can choose a background color on there if we want to, so let's just choose a horrible green kind of color. So you can see we can change that very quick and easy. Do we want to put a border on there? Let's just say solid, and we'll set that to be 1 pixel width, and we'll set that to be a dark gray. Very quick, very easy. We've now applied a border to it. I can say I want it to be dotted, I don't want it to be a straight line. I can choose border widths if I want to. I can choose the space between, I can adjust that, or I can get rid of the space completely. However I want to do it, I can adjust the padding. I can come at the content, and now I can control exactly how they're displayed and the color of those, the label, the color of the label. We're going to control the typography for each of those different elements. Like with everything else in Elementor Pro and Elementor, we can really get down and fine tune this to get exactly what you want to work with the website and layout that you're working with. And that's all there is to the countdown timer. Very quick, very easy, but very intuitive to work with. So let's just jump back in and take a look at the next widget. So next up, we've got the slides widget. So let's just drag that onto the page and take a look at what's available. Again, like we've got with various other different widgets we've got in this, we can control the content of the slides. And you can see we can click and expand that, and we've got a range of different options that allow us to fine tune and tweak exactly how this particular part of this widget is going to work. So you can see at the moment we've got a purple background, we've got some text. Well, we can change that very easily. We can come in and we can just click, choose an image, insert the media, and we've automatically now got a slide with that as a background image. We can control the content, so we can easily come into that. You can see we can just adjust the text. If we've got a button on there, what the link is going to be, what the link text is going to be, the heading. We can control the style of that, so we can use custom CSS if we want to. We can even come in and just control the various different aspects. So let's just say for this particular image, I don't want this to be in the center. I can say I want it to be left, I want it to be aligned to the bottom, and I want it to be aligned to the left for the text. I can choose the text color if I want to, all very quick and very easy. And this is done on a slide-by-slide basis. So we jump to the next slider, you can see we now have the option to go and fine-tune that. So if I wanted to, I can choose a different image on there. And I can come in and I can say I want to change the style. We'll enable custom. And for this example, I'll go to the right-hand side. We'll align this to the top and we'll have this set to right align. So you've got a completely different alignment. We can easily just adjust that any way we want. So you can see that if I want to put it onto the bottom right-hand side, I can do that. If I want the center right-hand side, I can do that. All visually, all done in front of me at the same time. I can adjust the item, so if I want to create another item, I can easily do that, or I can clone an existing item so it transfers all of the data over, and I can just make the amendments to that particular item as I want to. I can also adjust the height of this slider, so I can easily adjust this. You can see all done in real time, all very quick, very easy. We can come down now, we've got slider options available. So now we can kind of control exactly how this is navigated through. So you can see it currently we have arrows. We also have these dots at the bottom, which you may not see the greatest. If I jump to the next slide, you should see a bit better on this. So there we go. You can see we've got that. I can choose to have just arrows, just dots, or none at all. So let's just say I want to have arrows. That will then automatically turn off those dots, get rid of those for us. We've got options like pause on hover, autoplay, the speed of the animation, whether it's an infinite loop or whether it's going to keep on going to the third slide, then jump back to the first slide and slide back through, or whether it just goes around and around and around. We've got different kinds of transition types. We can use a transition of a slide or fade, and you can see if I use that now, it now fades between the different slides as opposed to sliding across. Transition speed, we can adjust that. The content animation, we can adjust that. So we can say we want that to zoom, for example. Let's just have a look. So it takes our text and zooms that in as opposed to sliding. But we've got a range of different options in there. We can easily change those to anything we want. We can jump over to styles, and as we've got in there, we can control now the different aspects of the slide itself, the content. So you can see we've got the horizontal and vertical positions. We can adjust the font that's being used on the title, on the description, the button, and the navigation. All those options are available to us. We can adjust the arrow sizes, for example. We can choose the different positions of those. We can set those outside. We can choose different colors on there. So you can see we can fine tune this to our heart's content to get exactly what we want. Again, same with the description, same with the title. So all that control is all in there for you to very quickly and easily build up these interactive type of slides. So great addition to Elementor. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the final Pro element that we have as part of Elementor Pro is the template option. Now this is going to work slightly different to any of the other Pro elements we've looked at already. The templates option allows us to pull in a template that we've previously created. Now I've covered creating templates in its own video, and I'll link that in the description below so you can take a look at how that works. But basically, we can create templates from any of the page elements that we create throughout any of the Elementor widgets. Now these can be single widgets, or they can be a column or a section with multiple widgets in there, and we can save that out as a template we can call back up at any time and use again and again and again. So now with the Pro elements, we can simply drag and drop this in, and what that does is it gives us one simple placeholder and the option there on the left hand side to choose what template we want to work with. So if I click, you can see I've got a couple of different templates I previously created. One's a page template and one's a section template. So let's just choose the section template. We click on that and you can see that loads in my section header, and it's automatically pulled everything in there for me. I can edit that template if I want to. I can click on edit template. That'll open up a new window, open another instance of Elementor, and take us to where we had this particular element, which we can now go in and control and edit and tweak to what we want. So let's just close that down. We've got advanced, so you can see we can go in and do all the normal things that we have with this particular widget. So we can come in and we can control the margins, the entrance animations, and so on. But that's pretty much all there is now to the new Pro update. So should you choose Elementor Pro as your visual editor of choice for WordPress? Well, that really comes down to you as a developer. I've used lots of different products, and I use them both commercially and for my own personal products. And I must be honest that since I've started using Elementor, since it first came out, it has impressed me no end. Now, I will be open and transparent at this point. Elementor sent me this copy of Elementor Pro to use. But I will be clear on this. If I didn't think this product was worth telling you about, I wouldn't tell you about it. It's a simple fact. I'm not being paid to say this. This is simply a case of they supplied it to me, and for clarity, I just want to make sure that you understand that I haven't paid for this. I've been supplied this to test it out and give my honest opinion on it. And my honest opinion is, if you want to have a very, very quick visual editor to work with WordPress that gives you a huge amount of fine level of control without having to delve into CSS and custom coding things yourself, Elementor is going to give you that in spades. Do you need the Pro version? That really comes down to whether any of these Pro widgets that are currently available, any that are come out in the future, are something specific that you need to work on a particular website. The cost of Elementor Pro is very, very reasonable, so even if you wanted to test it out with these different widgets to see if they were the kind of thing you'd want, it's not going to break the bank. There's great options available if you're the kind of person that you develop websites for people and you want to include Elementor in your customers' websites. Then you can do that as a developer's license that allows you to have 12 months worth of unlimited copies of this being used on any number of websites, which is very, very good. It's fast, it's easy, it's powerful, and has great results. I'd highly recommend checking out the Elementor Pro version if you think that these widgets are for you. Even if not, I would say grab yourself a copy of the free version. I don't think you'll be disappointed on how quick and easy it is to build great looking websites and web pages with this powerful and easy to use visual editor for WordPress. Well, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you enjoy the channel and what we do around here, please hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all the new content we add every single week. And until next time, take care.